Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. I'm just coming in from the cold. That is an absolute lie.
Gentlemen, that was my last one, unfortunately.
Wait, no, one more.
No, I'll play one more, I bet.
Alright, bet.
I spent the entire day rotting in my bed with my window open, so actually my room's cold, so I'm just cold because my room is cold. I did waste an entire day on TikTok, and so I was like, how do I make up for this? Because I have to find a way to make up for this. And I thought, you know what? I'll do a YouTube video because my life is fake and I don't actually work and nothing is real. All right, this week I have a fun video. This one is a little bit more thought-provoking, but the other day I was talking to one of my followers, or I was reading I don't remember what it was, but I ended up realizing, oh my gosh, this person who follows me and interacts with my content a lot doesn't like fashion for the same reasons that I like fashion. And I don't know why that was such an eye-opener. I guess I just assumed that people who followed me for my fashion content liked fashion in the same way that I did. But in that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, people who follow me are following me for different reasons than what I think that I'm providing to them. And that led me down the path of realizing that the reason why you like fashion, your why, the why behind your getting dressed ultimately determines your path and your journey with fashion. Therefore, understanding why you like fashion can help you to avoid a lot of unnecessary struggle, a lot of, confusion when it comes to uncovering or walking down your fashion path. Now, I've split this into 3 separate whys, and I want to stress that none of them are inherently good or bad or better than the others. Maybe some could be argued that they're based around an unhealthy mindset, but fashion is often a means to an end for a lot of people. And like I said, I don't want you to think that I'm saying this one's better than this one. It's just, hey, I use fashion for a different purpose than this other person does, and that's totally okay. The first reason that you might be into fashion has to do with attention. And the idea behind this is I want to be noticed by other people. And to be completely honest, this is where I started in fashion. When I originally got into wearing clothes, the reason was because I wanted to be noticed by other people. I wanted to have other people's attention. And one of the easiest ways to get somebody's attention is through your clothes, because oftentimes somebody's first impression of you has to do with what you're wearing, right? What they see when you walk up to them, or when they walk by you on the street, or in the hallway before class, etc. And funny enough, it actually worked really well for me. A lot of people recognized me for the crazy outlandish things that I would wear at the time. I wore a lot of very bright, loud pieces, a lot of trending things. But in looking back and, maturing as a person, first and foremost, not even just in the context of fashion, I look back and I realize that style was only partly me. It wasn't the full story. It was more of an exaggeration of what I would consider my true style to be. I say as I'm wearing a literal, Russian hat. I realize this is probably the wrong thing to be wearing for this video, but I really like hats like this, so I promise it's a thing that I genuinely enjoy. Also within the attention section would be signaling. People who use fashion to signal to others. Oftentimes this is flexing. People buying designer things, like think of very logo mania type objects or type clothing. It's to signal or to flex to other people. Sometimes it's to show status, or it's to say, hey, I'm in the know. For instance, I think of the quiet luxury thing that's been trending, right? A lot of people saying, oh, I buy quiet luxury. And the goal in mind is to signal to other people who also partake in quiet luxury, hey, look, I'm in on it. I also know what quiet luxury is. Like, ooh, we're in on this together. We all wear Loro Piana or Brunello Cucinelli, just like whatever. Essentially, you are wearing things for recognition. You're trying to signal to other people and gain their attention to say a specific thing. And last would be people getting into fashion to find a sense of belonging. Think of subcultures, right? People who lean into hype clothing, streetwear, or maybe the skater aesthetic, just any kind of aesthetic where you're trying to wear clothes to signal to other people, hey, I'm a part of this subculture. It's another thing like wearing niche clothing. Like for instance, all the people, I think of the LA fashion scene right now with everybody trying to get into Japanese denim or slub cotton, right? These are a little bit past, but over the past year or two, we've seen a lot of people trying to wear those things to signal to other people around them, hey, I'm a part of this subculture. I am in the know on this. And again, I think a lot of that comes with a negative connotation. It's not negative. I don't want people to hear me me say that and think, oh, that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just what some people want out of fashion. They want to say, hey, I'm a part of this group. I identify with this group. And that's if that's what you want to do with fashion, that's great. But the main point of this specific section is that it's all outward facing, right? Essentially, this section is about visibility, how you're seen, how other people are seeing you, how you're presenting. And if this is a section that you find yourself in, oftentimes that will lead to wearing more statement pieces, more exaggerated styles, brighter, louder colors. You kind of wear a lot of accessories. You do a lot, right? It's wearing a lot because you're trying to signal a specific thing, depending, of course, on what you're trying to present outwardly. The second why that I think a lot of people have is the attraction section. The main thought process behind this section is I want to be desired, I want to be approved, I want people to accept me. And this phase is more about optimizing your fashion to fit the social scenario or, you know, what you want to garner socially rather than like exaggerating to draw attention in. One of the most obvious whys in this section would be attraction of a partner. And I can only really speak from the male perspective because I am a male and I like women. And so I know a lot of guys who are solely into fashion to attract women, to feel desired by women. And I understand that. I'm not gonna lie and say there isn't a part of me that also thinks about like, oh, I wonder if girls will like this outfit. I wonder if blah, blah, blah. And I will be honest, that was more in the past of fashion. I don't really care as much about that nowadays. But again, I'm not gonna lie and say that that was never part of my thought process. And what you'll find with people who this is their why behind fashion is they typically will go towards more minimalist styles, right? If you look at a lot of the female content creators who create content on like, oh, this is what guys should wear, this is what we want men to wear, it's typically all like more of a minimalist kind of approach, right?
If you want strangers to tell you I like your outfit, then you need to be wearing one of these.
Not sure why I'm exposing myself like this, but when a guy wears this, 10 times hotter. A t-shirt and trousers. Yep, that's it.
We're not gonna get into all the times that people say, oh, women just want a tall, attractive, handsome guy or in shape, blah, 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 blah. Of course, I'm sure that's part of some of it. But speaking to the fashion strictly, a lot of it is more of this minimalist approach. And a lot of the reason for that is because minimalism is just the most socially optimized fashion that you can wear, right? If you're wearing more minimal, simple things, it's harder to hate. Like if you leave the house in a white t-shirt and jeans, chances are pretty slim somebody's gonna see your outfit and say, man, that guy has terrible style, him in his white t-shirt and jeans. Or if you wear like the very classic tucked in form-fitting t-shirt, the pleated pants with the belt, like there's a very low chance that somebody's gonna see that and be like offended by your outfit and be like, that outfit's terrible, this guy doesn't know how to dress, right? It's just simple, it's easy, it's more socially and widely accepted. And this is actually so funny to me because I feel like I have a very strong sense of personal style of things that I like. I'd like to wear louder colors, more things that are out there, things that honestly feel more like the attention phase, because I'm not gonna lie and say that, again, part of that doesn't still fit my love of fashion. I enjoy being seen by people. I enjoy being complimented by people. And that being said, I've cultivated a sense of fashion that I really like. And it's so funny, my ex, a while ago, I remember she used to constantly tell me over and over and over, oh man, I love when you just wear a white t-shirt. Like, oh, I think you just look best in a white t-shirt. And to preface, my ex is an amazing person. She is so wonderful. I wish the absolute best for her. And I know she had the greatest intentions. She was trying to compliment me and say like, oh, you look best in a white t-shirt. Like, I really like this. And she's trying to say like, oh, you look good. But to be completely honest, it did hurt a little bit because I was like, you know what? This is not like the style that I identify with. I understand that it's the more appealing style in general. My style is a bit more feminine. I understand that that doesn't resonate with a lot of people. So it was funny for me to say, to hear like, oh, my favorite thing that you wear is a white t-shirt, when I'm like, wow, not the actual intention that I put into my other outfits. And like, again, she had the best intentions. She was trying to be kind, and I still decide to receive it that way. But there is a part of me that is like, wow, I guess that if that's what girls want to see, if I want to optimize for pleasing more women, obviously I'm gonna wear the outfits that cause the least amount of friction. I'm not gonna wear my Mary Janes, my ballet flats, my frilly Victorian woman era t-shirt, my Russian hat, which so many people, I'm not gonna get into that. Anyways, either way, for a lot of guys, that is what they want. They want the nicer, more minimalist style because their goal is to attract a mate. And if that's what you want to do, all power to you. Also, under the attraction section, we have respect. This is more social optimization, right? It's not geared in the romantic sense. It's more geared societally. Maybe you want to dress well, dress sharper for your boss, for your peers, your coworkers, your friends, your insert this, but you want the respect. So you dress a little sharper, you dress a little more put together, because your use of fashion is more social currency. I want to look like I am put together. I know what I'm doing, and I want respect. I want to look more confident, mature, reliable, just fill in the blank, right? Another why behind fashion might be to control how you're perceived. What you're doing is you're using your clothes to manage your social status, your likability, your X, Y, and Z, and all of these sections do have a little bit of overlap. So if you hear something and you're like, oh, that sounds kind of like this. Well, a lot of them do have a little bit of overlap with each other. So control in this sense is just a little bit more of a general, broader sense of that, not necessarily specifically romantic or as societally, but more just in like a broad sense. In this sense, it's more strategic, right? Kind of like I said before, it's dressing sharper when you go to a business meeting or when you meet a client so that somebody takes you more seriously. Or it's taking the more minimalist approach so that you can maximize broad appeal so that more people like your outfits. Maybe it's reducing the amount of statement pieces that you have so that your style doesn't really intimidate or polarize people. Again, think of the white t-shirt and blue jeans. People probably aren't going to have strong opinions one way or the other. You're just going to fit right in and nobody's going to think twice. You're basically dressing like safe in a sense to like reduce the friction that you get from other people around you in the form of disliking your outfit. And this isn't a bad thing. I know like when people hear this, it's going to come across as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. This is just like social intelligence. It's I want to dress right for the situation so that I can be in control of other people, right? Wait, not other people. Wait, that's wrong words. So that I can manage how I'm perceived. That's the better way to say that. The attraction phase differs from the attention phase in that the attention phase has more of an exaggerated, loud style, right? It's trying to garner attention, but the attraction phase has more of a simplified style, right? It's simplified to meet the occasion that you needed to meet. The last section is the expression section, and I know this is where everyone's gonna think, oh, this is the good guy. This is the place where everyone wants to be. Again, fashion, for the most part, for a lot of people, is a means to an end. Whichever one you fall under, that's great for you. Obviously, if it's the result of an unhealthy mental mindset or tendency, then maybe you should look at that, but like, that's not my place to decide. The main thought behind the expression phase is I want to feel coherent to myself. I want to feel aligned with myself, and I don't need universal approval from everyone around me, right? This is a more alienating phase where people might really like your style or they might really hate it. Under this section, obviously you have people whose why is just simply self-expression. I think one of the best examples of this is the chartreuse lady. I don't know if you've seen her, but I love her. I think she is so precious, and she literally only wears the color chartreuse because that is just her expressing who she is, and so that takes the form of only wearing the color chartreuse. I view that as true expression, and personally I'd say this is where I fit in the most nowadays. I think it took a lot of growth to get myself to there, and a lot of change in what I value, and a lot of getting rid of kind of the negative ways that I viewed myself, and my need for attention, my need for approval, and now fashion is just expressing myself. It's just expressing myself through things that I like. For instance, this hat that I talked about earlier, I really love this style of hat. This kind of like, I think it's more Russian, but like I love this style of hat. Also under the expression section is people who just appreciate art. People whose why behind fashion is just the artistry of it. This is where people more appreciate the craft behind it. They appreciate the specific silhouettes, like people who I think of who like the Comme des Garçons mainline, who really love the really interesting, crazy out there silhouettes that Ray Kawakubo experiments with, or Rick Owens. A lot of people like the Rick Owens silhouettes, the crazy, wild, avant-garde things that he does. It's more of telling story with your clothing. In a similar vein, it's people who simply like craft, or they like mastery of something. For instance, people who care specifically about fabric quality, about construction, maybe about time-honored traditions or historical references. For instance, I would think of a lot of people who, while there is people who like the Japanese denim to signal to a subculture, hey, I'm a part of this, there is also a lot of people people who like Japanese denim because of the ancient, you know, passed down traditions of how they make it, the hand looms that they use, the natural indigo dye. It's, you know, it's tradition, and a lot of people like that. This is what they want. This is their why behind fashion, is appreciating the craft that goes into it. Also, under the expression section, some people just like beauty. They just appreciate beautiful things, and they just want to wear beautiful, pretty things because that's just what they want to do. Essentially, it's just fashion for aesthetics sake because they like aesthetics. And lastly, for the expression section is control. And I talked about this earlier, but it's different than the outward facing control that I said earlier, where your goal is, I want to control how I'm being perceived by other people. Instead, this is an internal facing control, right? I want to control how I feel, how clothing makes me feel. Essentially, you're using clothing, using fashion to manage your anxiety, or maybe your confidence, your identity, your mood. And just to kind of give an example so that this is a little bit less confusing, because I know this is kind of confusing. Think of people like Steve Jobs, who wears a uniform. He wore the exact same thing every single day to work because it helped to reduce the mental load of having to be a creative person, right? He took a lot of creative approaches to Apple that really redefined the iPhone and you know, how we think about technology. In order to kind of mitigate this stress on his brain, he would wear a uniform every single day so that all his creativity was focused specifically on Apple and the products that he was creating. So this outlook on fashion is not about other people at all. It's about, how do I feel and how do I regulate myself so that I feel the best that I can. And if the expression section is the why behind your fashion, typically your style is a little bit more personalized to you. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge of this and that. It's taking some of this, it's taking some of that. It's not one specific thing. And a lot of the times it can be more drawing for people. It can be more polarizing, where some people aren't gonna like what you wear. Some people are gonna like what you wear. It's more, you know, when you think of like eclectic typically. And obviously this depends, you know, there's nuance. And like I said, for some people it is just a uniform. Either way, at the end of the day, your outlook on fashion is more personalized to you rather than what do others think, if that makes sense. And for some people, like I said, there's multiple different sections that you fit in. While I do resonate mostly with wanting to express myself through fashion, like I said, sometimes I do enjoy the attention that it gets me. Sometimes I do think, I wonder if I wear a nicer outfit to this specific place I'm going, maybe a girl will notice me and like my outfit. Like, there are different overlaps of these things. You don't necessarily have to fit into one. But either way, understanding why you like fashion, you know, what your reason. My camera just died, so I completely lost my train of thought. I believe I was saying that a lot of these categories overlap, but the most important part is that in understanding your why behind fashion, you can minimize the struggles of getting towards your intended goal, right? So if you want that attention, you're probably seeking flashier, more trending pieces. If you are looking more to attract, you're probably looking for a more minimal, broadly appealing style. If you're looking to just be expressive, then I mean, that's honestly your own journey to figure out, but at least you know that that's your why. Anyways, that is the video of the week, and I am going to now go probably bed rot again after a job well done, having done one thing. So no, I'm not actually gonna go bed rot. I'm gonna go meet my friends. But anyways, I have loved talking to y'all as always. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed the video and let me know what you think. And as always, I love y'all so much. I'll see you in the next one. And deuces. Oh, actually, let me do a little fit of the day. I like showing you guys my outfit. This is the outfit. Again, it's hard to see, but we are dressed like this with my Timbs on. I do have my collar up, but underneath this lovely jacket, I have this lovely shirt. Oh, missed a button. And yeah, this is the outfit of the day. I hope that you guys enjoy it because I love it a lot. And I do feel very like Slavic for some reason. Well, it's just the hat. It's just the hat. Okay, bye for real.